Welcome back to the Mental Health Minute. I'm Dr. Emily Mayfield, a licensed psychologist. Thank you for watching this video and being a part of the Mindset Therapy family. For today's video, I'm going to go over why there has been an increase in suicides and suicidal thoughts during the pandemic. But first, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you to those of you who have already subscribed. The channel's new and I hope to have the channel continue to grow as a way to reduce the stigma of mental health. By subscribing to this channel, you'll receive information on all things mental health while connecting with others. The pandemic from COVID-19 has been going on for close to a year now. Many states in the U.S. and countries around the world have issued stay-at-home orders that have been in effect for 6 or more months. As the pandemic wages on, you may have noticed in the news an increase in suicides. In this video, I'll discuss why the pandemic has seen an increase in suicides and what factors could be contributing to this increase. The pandemic has led to drastic changes in how people live their life, and with no notice. One day people were meeting up with their friends, traveling, and worrying about everyday illnesses and accidents that could lead to potential harm. And the next, they were working from home and interacting minimally, or if at all, with people outside of their household. When the arrival of COVID-19 was announced, people had to make drastic changes to their life while trying to comprehend what this new virus was and how it might affect them and their loved ones. People were pushed into isolation with little chance to close loose ends with people in their life. As these changes occurred, people were pushed to deal with a quickly changing world, often with little support. With the pandemic came other issues not directly related to the virus, but were consequences of the ever-changing impact of the virus on the world. As the pandemic has continued for close to a year, mental health issues have increased, and these mental health issues can lead to an increase in suicides. First, let's go over why there might be an increase in mental health issues in the past several months. So first is isolation. With the enactment and enforcement of stay-at-home orders, people found themselves being in their home more than they likely ever had been in the past. While they may have others living in the home with them, they no longer had the interactions of coworkers, friends, or the employees at stores that they used to frequent. They started to feel isolated from the outside world. Information on what was happening in their state, city, or even neighborhood was through media sources and not first-hand accounts. Related to isolation is loneliness. Loneliness is a feeling of sadness or unhappiness that occurs when you feel socially isolated. As the isolation from others increased, the loneliness became apparent in many people. As humans, we are social creatures, and most people enjoy interacting with others, or at least the opportunity to interact with others. When you find that you no longer have social outlets, you can start to feel lonely. It's important to note that you can be lonely even when other people in the house are around you. Social isolation comes from the person's perception of isolation and doesn't have to be the actual presence of isolation. Removal of stress management techniques can also lead to an increase in mental illness. When the stay-at-home orders were announced, many businesses were forced to shut down. This included gyms, restaurants, bars, and entertainment venues. For many people, these businesses were used as coping mechanisms for stress. People would enjoy working out to relieve stress or spending time with friends and family socializing at restaurants or places of entertainment. When these businesses closed, people were left with no ready options for stress management. They had to quickly find another form of stress management while settling into their new way of functioning. The number of changes that happened all at once made it difficult to focus on self-care, when just staying afloat was the priority. Some of you may have experienced financial strain. Many people lost their job as a result of the pandemic, or their hours were cut significantly. When you no longer know how you'll pay for your housing, food, and clothing, this can lead to significant stress in your life. Financial strain and uncertainty of how you'll meet your bills leads to a cascade of other events such as hopelessness, isolation, and increase in stress and anxiety. Another factor is relationship issues. Being around someone 24/7 when you could previously get a break from them can sometimes be too much for some people. When people started to work from home, attend school from home, and not be able to do activities outside of the house, relationship issues became more prominent. When you put all of these things together, there can be an increase in overall stress and anxiety. Due to the many changes and uncertainty of what the future would look like, people started to experience that increase in stress and anxiety. They may also have become hopeless about the future and what a new normal might look like. This increase in stress and anxiety can lead to the onset of other mental health disorders and worsen any pre-existing mental health conditions. So why has there been an increase in suicides and suicidal thoughts? The risk factors for suicide include hopelessness, financial strain, relationship issues, isolation, mental health disorders, misuse of substances, and chronic medical conditions. As you'll see, most of these risk factors were events and circumstances that were brought on by the pandemic. For many people, these risk factors happened all at once and didn't have the opportunity to develop slowly or over different periods of their life. For this reason, it's understandable that the pandemic has led to an increase in suicides and suicidal thoughts. Right now, there are many things out of our control. However, there are still things within your control, and you want to focus on these as you begin to bring self-care back into your life. You also want to ensure those around you are doing well during this difficult time. While you may not be able to spend time in person with your friends and loved ones, it's important to check on them regularly. This must be an ongoing process and not a one-time check-in. Someone who isn't doing well may not yet be able to tell you that, but if you remain concerned, they might become more comfortable and open up to you. Check out my video on how to ask if someone is thinking about suicide for tips and tools for checking in on your loved ones. This has been a difficult time for most people, but when we can pull together and look out for each other, it takes some of the pressure off of us to look out for ourselves. Comment below if you've been struggling with the pandemic and what has helped you. When you can give recommendations to others, they have more tools to be successful in their own changes. Also, if you enjoyed the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to be a part of the Mindset Therapy family. I look forward to seeing you at the next video.